Welcome back to Pokemon episode summaries. Today, I'll be doing episode 142, Wired for Battle. The episode begins with Ash and the gang walking through a forest as usual, but Team Rocket were already spying on them at this point, planning to steal Pikachu by trapping him in a hole trap, also as usual. Just then, though, Team Rocket's planning is interrupted as a man walks up to them and asks them for a battle. They accept and send out Arbok and Weezing. However, Arbok and Weezing are quickly defeated as the man sends out his Pokemon, which is so fast, Team Rocket can't even identify what it looks like, and it instantly knocks out Arbok, Weezing, and Meowth, as Team Rocket scream in fear, causing Ash to hear the screams. As he wonders what was going on, Team Rocket run away as fast as they can when Meowth finally becomes conscious again, and the man remarks how Pokemon battles aren't like they used to be, depressed at the fact that he ran into such weak trainers. He still has a bit of hope, and sends out his Pokemon to go find some more trainers to battle, and he eventually stumbles upon Ash and the gang, who notice his Pokemon in the trees as they hear a sound coming from them. Ash tells Pikachu to go investigate the trees, and the man's Pokemon sees this as an opportunity to swoop in, and it does, landing on the ground, prompting Pikachu to jump down with it. Ash, identifying Scizor as what he had spotted in the trees earlier, prompts Pikachu to attack. But Brock warns him not to, as he notices Scizor just standing there, and comes to the conclusion that it must have been waiting for Ash to make the first attack so he could catch them off guard. What Brock didn't know, though, was that this Pokemon was simply waiting for its trainer. As if on cue, the trainer appears. However, much to the Pokemon's surprise, he simply tells him to return to him and stop the battle, as he noticed that Pikachu had gotten extremely stressed from having to wait out for Scizor's potential attack. Despite the man's apologies and his explanation that he had sent his Scizor loose to go look for new trainers to battle, Misty still scolds him for allowing his Pokemon to run loose when he knew that it was strong and could have caused some people some danger. Misty gets so mad that Brock begins to feel a little bad for the guy, so he pulls her away. That's right, Brock actually pulled Misty away for once. The man apologizes again and politely introduces himself as Muramasa. He then introduces his Pokemon as Masamune, which confuses Ash, as his Pokedex told him that the Pokemon was a Scizor. This leads Muramasa to explain that Masamune was simply one of Scizor's many nicknames. He then further clarifies that Scizor was the evolved form of Scyther, which amazes Ash and the gang, as they remember Tracy's Scyther, probably. Muramasa then tells Ash that he was impressed by his Pikachu's determination and willingness to attack an opponent that he didn't even know, and states that a trainer like him should come to his elite Pokemon training school so that they could become even stronger. Ash becomes intrigued by this and inquires more about what the school had to offer, and Muramasa states that the school featured trainers from all over the world. Wanting to battle all of these trainers, Ash agrees, and Muramasa takes them to the school and gives them a tour where they see a Scyther and Nidoking fighting, they see a man lifting some dumbbells with his golem, and they see two students meditating with their Poliwrath and Machoke. After seeing this, they decide to do some meditating as well, and when they go into the meditation room, they're found by a student who begins to glaze up Muramasa when he leaves to go help another trainer who was training against a golem. He explains that Muramasa was a talented Pokemon trainer back in his day, and he feared that Pokemon trainers today wouldn't be as good, so he created this training school so he could pass on all that he knew. He also revealed that his Scizor had yet another nickname, being the Crimson Streak, because it was so fast. Team Rocket are eavesdropping as usual, and as you can imagine, when they hear about how skilled the Scizor was, they immediately think about stealing it. Anyways, as Ash was raving about how the Crimson Streak was a lot cooler of a nickname than Masamune, Muramasa then returned to where Ash and the gang were, along with a student of his, who he introduced as his top student named Shingo. Muramasa then requests that Ash battle Shingo, and Ash has no objections to this, introducing himself immediately, but Shingo just smiles as he uses the knowledge of Ash's name to look him up in a computer that he was holding. Ash obviously questioned what the fuck Shingo was doing, with Shingo showing Ash a picture of himself and all of his Pokemon on the screen, explaining that he had inputted Ash's name into the Pokemon database, and this database essentially told him everything he needed to know about a trainer and their previous feats, so that way he could study them up and know how to counter them. He then further explains that the database was developed by the Pokemon League, and that's why most of the stats on it were related to the Pokemon League, and he then shows Ash the database entries of several other trainers to prove that Ash wasn't the only one on there. There was even a trainer from the training school with a Heracross, Golduck, Hitmonlee, and Hitmonchan. As Team Rocket are still eavesdropping, they overhear Shingo's explanation and decide that they want to steal the laptop so they can steal all the data from it, and therefore they would know how to beat not just Ash, but every other trainer and steal all their Pokemon. Meanwhile, Shingo was still analyzing Ash in the database and found out that he got into the top 16 of the Indigo Plateau League, and also found out how his Charizard was the main reason why he lost due to its disobedience. Shingo taunts Ash that he was lucky enough to get into the top 16 if he had a disobedient Pokemon, but Ash clarifies that he had grown a lot since the league and was a lot better now. He challenged Shingo to a battle once again in an attempt to prove this, but Shingo denied him, claiming that all the evidence in his data had stated that Ash would lose, so he didn't want to waste his time with a weak opponent. Ash doesn't give up though, as he still vehemently tries to get Shingo to accept his challenge, adding that Shingo could learn a lot from real battle experience as opposed to just looking at his computer. But Shingo counters that his computer and the database already told him everything that he needed to know, and that he would only battle a trainer if they could teach him a lesson beyond what the laptop could, and he knew that this was practically impossible. A bored Shingo then takes his leave. Much to Muramasa's disappointment, he revealed to Ash and the gang that the entire reason why he had introduced Shingo to them was because he wanted to finally make Shingo battle, because Shingo hadn't battled in over a year due to his insistence that his laptop had taught him all he needed to know and had all the data necessary. Much like Ash, Muramasa had the desire to prove to Shingo that there was more to Pokemon battling than just randomized statistics you would find on a laptop, adding that spirit and actual battle experience were way more important. Ash, sharing the same sentiment as Muramasa, declares that he would find a way to get Shingo to battle him, no matter what, wanting to prove that statistics couldn't predict every outcome. Muramasa and his Scizor go back outside to resume training by chopping down some wood, as Ash tries to locate Shingo so he can challenge him again. He eventually locates Shingo inside of his school dorm room and indeed challenges him to a battle, but it only goes the same way as last time, with Shingo rebutting that he didn't need to battle since his laptop already told him the outcome. Ash got fed up with Shingo's attitude and proceeded to grab him by the arms and pull him away from his computer, explaining that he didn't fucking need it, he just needed some real battle experience. While the two were distracted arguing, Meowth took the opportunity to break in to Shingo's room and plug in a cable to Shingo's laptop so that they could extract all the data from it. James watched from the Meowth balloon as the data started to get transferred over to his computer. However, Jessie was getting impatient by how long the downloading was taking, fearing that they would get spotted, so she just decided to yank James's end of the cable, which pulled Meowth out of the building and the laptop with it, because Jessie just thought that they might as well just take Shingo's entire laptop and save themselves the trouble of downloading. And Meowth had panicked, wanting to save the laptop. He grabs it midair and continues to get dragged down until his path is interrupted by none other than Scizor, who comes up to him and cuts the cable, thereby stopping the data transfer if it wasn't already stopped. A scared Meowth screams in fear upon seeing the Scizor, and Ash and Shingo hear these screams and immediately run outside to confront who they soon would find out was Team Rocket. When they get outside, Shingo realizes that his laptop was now laying on the ground, and he immediately runs to get it. However, Team Rocket then send out all their Pokemon in order to stop both Scizor and Shingo. Therefore, as Shingo retrieves his computer, Arbok comes in to attack him, but thankfully, Scizor saves him at the last moment. When they see that Shingo has successfully recaptured his laptop, Team Rocket demand it back, doing their motto in the process. Now knowing their names, this allows Shingo to look Team Rocket up in his database, but however, he finds that there was no data for them. This leads Team Rocket to taunt Shingo that his database was useless if it didn't have any information on them, lying that they were some of the greatest Pokemon trainers around, so if the database didn't have any information on them, then it didn't know what the fuck it was talking about. All of this taunting pisses Shingo off, as he rebuttals that the only reason why Team Rocket likely wasn't in the database was because Team Rocket were weak fucks, and he proceeds to prove his point by sending out his own Scizor. That's right, he had one as well, which he nicknamed Blade. Shingo claims that his Scizor was not only stronger than Muramasa's, but it had never been defeated in a battle. Team Rocket become interested in trying to acquire this Scizor, especially since they now weren't interested in the laptop due to it not having any data on them, so they assumed it truly was useless. As Team Rocket sends Meowth and their Pokemon to attack, Shingo takes the opportunity to start recording the battle with his laptop so that he could implement the battle's data into the database. He also scans all their individual Pokemon, as although Team Rocket themselves weren't in the database, the base Pokemon were. Shingo's laptop then analyzes Team Rocket's Pokemon in specific as they approach him, and this allows it to tell him that they were moving at an extremely slow pace. So this prompts Shingo to send out his Blade and have him use Quick Attack, which defeats Team Rocket in a single hit, sending them blasting off. With Team Rocket dealt with, Ash then goes up to Shingo and tries to explain to him yet again that there was more to battling than just data and statistics, stating that data could never fully predict a battle because there were so many unpredictable strategies or unpredictable Deus Ex Machina moments that could happen. Adding that Shingo should also just battle trainers because battling trainers was fun, not just because he had the chance to win. Further explaining that if you didn't actually do any real battle experience, then your Pokemon could never grow, and instead, you would just have the knowledge, but not have the power to utilize it. Ash then ends his rant by challenging Shingo to a battle yet again, and Shingo accepts this time, although all he wanted to do was prove his point that data was in fact necessary, and did in fact predict the outcome. Despite this, Muramasa was just thrilled that Shingo had agreed to a battle at all, so he decided to ref it and explain that it would be a one-on-one battle, as Shingo sent out his Scizor and Ash sent out his Heracross. Shingo did indeed still attempt to look up Heracross in his database, and immediately went in for the first attack, being Quick Attack. Ash tries to block the Quick Attack by using a Leer to up Heracross's defense, but Heracross is hit before the Leer can take effect, due to Scizor being too fast. Heracross manages to recover itself, but Scizor counters by using Metal Claw, picking up Heracross by the horn, in an attempt to throw it. However, Heracross was too heavy, and Heracross managed to land on his feet, as he wasn't thrown that high. Heracross then takes the opportunity to go in for a horn attack, with Shingo simply ordering his Scizor to dodge. However, Scizor isn't able to fully dodge the attack, and gets a little scratched, much to Shingo's surprise. He tries to look up using the database how Heracross was able to hit Scizor despite its speed, when Brock shouted at him from the crowd that was something that he couldn't possibly find data on, as it was a one-time thing, and that just proved Ash's point that there were so many things in a battle that were unpredictable that data couldn't comprehend. While Shingo was distracted, Ash had Heracross use Takedown, but Shingo was able to respond by telling his Scizor to use Agility, and this caused Scizor to surround Heracross with speedy copies of itself, almost like a double team. Heracross begins to panic, and Ash, seeing this, just tells it to calm down and let Scizor make the attack, so that they could just counter it later, instead of stressing about having to make the first move. Shingo gets confused as to why Heracross was just standing there doing nothing, and tries to find some data for it on his computer, but he can't search on the computer and keep his attention on the battle at the same time, so this stresses him out. Ash yells at Shingo that he was too focused on his data as he tells Heracross to use Fury Attack, now that Shingo wasn't going to be able to order his Scizor to do anything. Shingo tries to order his Scizor to counter with a Metal Claw, but Heracross was too fast. This results in Scizor getting hit and knocked to the ground, and he tries to get back up, but he wasn't fast enough, even though Shingo's data told Shingo that he would be fast enough. This allows Heracross to hit the Scizor with yet another Fury Attack, leading Shingo to finally put his laptop down, as he realized that he truly didn't have all the factors of the battle from just data if his data wasn't able to accurately predict Scizor's speed. Now fully focused on the battle, Shingo tells his Scizor to use Quick Attack, and Heracross tries to counter with Tackle, but both of their attacks end up missing. Scizor then tries to throw Heracross into the air again by using Metal Claw, but when he grabs his horn, he gets his claw stuck on it. Before Heracross can use this to his advantage though, Scizor then uses Agility to get away and goes in for a false swipe attack. The attack is rendered useless though, as Heracross ducks down and blocks it with his hard shell. Heracross then suddenly jumps up from his shelled position, startling the Scizor, allowing Heracross to hit it with a horn attack, sending it flying and knocking it out, winning Ash the battle. Shingo immediately runs to his Scizor to comfort it and explains to it that even though it didn't win, it battled extremely well. Masamura was surprised, as Shingo had just left his laptop sitting on the ground out of concern for his Scizor. He noted that this must have meant that Shingo finally saw that he didn't need the data anymore. And sure enough, Shingo says exactly that to Ash and the gang, stating that he realized that the safety of his Pokemon and actually training with them was more important. Shingo thanks Ash for helping him see that there was more to battles than just the predictable data, and Ash and Shingo agree to have a battle again at some point. Do they though? Probably not, because he's a character of the day. The episode then ends with a blasted off Team Rocket walking dejectedly through the forest.